No, the thumbnail is actually not clickbait, and I honestly didn't even plan on making a video today until I seen this outrageous situation, and really, when I first saw it, I almost just immediately thought it was fake, a prank, or anything along those lines, but it looks like it is 100% real and true, and there's kind of no real way to ease you into this, so getting right into it, today we're going to be talking about Asmongold falling through his ceiling and almost dying. Yup, I told you it was gonna sound outrageous, and I know it's not a funny situation, but sometimes you just read something so crazy that you almost just wanna laugh. But with how outrageous that statement is aside, because we'll have more than enough time to talk about it later, really quick, for the people who don't know who Asmongold is, he's basically just a variety streamer that also covers a lot of different news and dramas, and other than his streams and the content that he makes, he's also known for his absolutely atrocious living conditions. We also don't really need to go too in-depth on that right now because we're going to be seeing some examples of that later. So going back to the post, this pretty much started about 2 days ago when Asmongold tweeted, "Took the day off to find some dead animal in my attic that smelled bad and ended up falling through the ceiling. Pretty sure I'm living in Sin's Fortress." He also followed that up with a video titled, "Yesterday I Almost Died," with a picture of parts of the aftermath. And before we even get into his video where he talks about everything that happened and really kind of just explains some of his living conditions, for those of you that basically have no clue who Asmongold is, I just want to get it out of the way and make it a pretty big point that he's not a small streamer by any means. He's a multi-millionaire and a huge creator. So the reason for these living conditions is 100% not limited by money. If he really wanted to, he could just go out tomorrow and buy a $5 million mansion and still have a ton of money left over. And honestly, even if he didn't have the money to buy a big mansion or really even buy anything, either way it goes, one of his top goals at that point should also still just be to find somewhere else and really just safer to be living. Because like we're going to be seeing later in the video, his living conditions are honestly worse than Resident Evil's. It usually always has rats or, like we seen from the post, some sort of dead animals in it. There's empty food, drink, and other junk containers literally scattered everywhere, and sure, he has gotten a bit better with that, but it's still far from clean. And speaking of the empty food containers, other than the dead animals, there's just rotten food in random places. The ceilings are clearly caving in, there's mold basically everywhere, and it's gotten so bad to a point that he's had streams where you can literally see roaches crawling on him and him like brushing them off. And now that I'm giving a rundown of everything wrong with the place that he's at, I really think he's one of the few streamers slash content creators that basically everyone wants to get an upgrade. Because usually creators are in a situation like Jack Doherty where the second they get their hands on any sort of money, they end up blowing it on somewhere that they really can barely even afford. But Asmongold's case is basically the complete opposite.
So I had to take the day off. I woke up and I couldn't sleep. Well, it's basically like yesterday was a really good example of how you ever have one of those days where like everything just kind of the dominoes always fall in a way that is not good for you. Well, this was one of my dominoes yesterday. And so I had to deal with that. I thought this board was safe. This piece of wood, it wasn't. It was not. And so anyway, yep, I fell right through my fucking ceiling. Obviously, I was able to catch myself and, you know, I'm fine, right? I mean, aside from like, you know, 4 or 5 other cuts all over me, other than that, I'm fine. Why was I in my attic? I woke up and I was like, oh my God, there's a dead animal in the house. Again, fuck. Why is this happening again? So I go into my attic and I can kind of smell it more. I have such a really bad sense of smell in general, though, that it's very hard for me to track any scent and find it. I was in my attic trying to find this dead animal. I never found it. And that's why, and I think the reason why is that like this morning I woke up, it wasn't as bad. I think what happened is that it was actually a raccoon that died underneath my deck in my backyard. Because I walked out into the backyard and like I could very, very strongly smell it. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Now, for those of you with a keen eye, or maybe I should say ear, you might realize that Asmongold said that once he basically got closer to the source of the smell, he was like, oh shit, maybe this might be a dead raccoon. That's a crazy piece of information there. He's been around so many just dead and decaying animals that it seems like he can tell the difference between them solely based on smell. He didn't walk out out there and say, oh, it may be a dead possum or a dead rat because he has a ton of those. He said, hey, this smells like a dead raccoon. I know what one of those smells like. I removed 20 of them from the attic. I also know that, sure, I kind of am blowing it out of proportion with that, but at least we are able to somewhat joke about this situation because it could have really ended a lot worse. Because I'm almost 100% sure that there are a few of you that think the thumbnail or whatnot was clickbait, and you're probably thinking that there's absolutely no way that a fall like that could have taken him out, and I think that you're vastly underestimating how easy it is for a fall to just completely game in someone. I've seen people fall from literally standing height, not even off of anything, and that's just it for them. All it takes is for you to land on your head or neck the wrong way, and you're just done. It's also not like that was some sort of insignificant height, and it's also much worse because it's also not like he was falling off of some nice open area where you could get a general sense of where you are and try to catch your fall. He's falling through a confined space where you can get caught on a bunch of different things and end up rotating your body in a way that makes it much harder to catch your fall or just puts you in a less ideal position, like falling on your head. And even ignoring the possibility of just falling on your head and game ending, there's also just a ton of other bad things that could have happened that would have made this situation much worse. Like maybe while he was falling, let's just say there's a nail sticking out of a piece of wood. Boom, now you fell and sliced open your leg, arm, or whatever. And going back to what I said earlier about how most people at this point want him to get an upgrade, one of the top responses to his post on Twitter is by McNasty saying, I don't always agree with you and your takes on things have made me grow disdain towards you, but please take care of yourself, man. Nobody is going to hate you for using your money to better your life. I used to live like you and my quality of life changed significantly and my mental health grew so much after I used my earnings to take better care of myself and my living situation. I know it probably seems like a huge change, but you will look back on it and be happy you did something. Please take care of yourself. No one should live like this. And that reply pretty much explained everything I was trying to say earlier about how absolutely no one is gonna complain or hate on him for getting an upgrade because, especially in a case like this, it's not like he'd be upgrading to be the overconsumption final boss or anything like that. It's basically mandatory and for his mental health and especially safety.
So I walk out into my fucking garage and there's literally a rat sitting there. Like back in the day, they would at least have like the fucking dignity to run away. But he's lived there so long, he didn't even give a fuck about me. He's like, hey.
I swear I'm gonna stop pausing the video, but it really just gets worse the more he talks about it because he always speaks of these things as if they're just the most normal occurrences ever, because they are. There might honestly be homeless people that live better than him, but I guess he's better than me. I mean, I'm no bitch, but if I were to walk into a room of the house and see a genuine rat, not even a mouse or anything else, an entire rat, I might just shit myself.
Also, one of the reasons why I was stepping and walking in a weird way, really fun fact, I moved my foot in a way that morning where I tore my entire toenail off one of my toes. The entire fucking thing. And I had to get a piece of a bandage to like press everything down to stop all the bleeding. So I was walking in a weird way anyway because of that happening. Ouch, it doesn't matter, it's fine. Who cares? And so anyway, listen, I have scars. I used to tear the skin off my back just because I like the way it feels.
What? I was gonna just go ahead and continue with the video here, but what is he talking about, man? I don't know how we got to this, so we're gonna act like we didn't hear that and just continue.
I actually took a bath yesterday too because I was like, well, I was picking my nose. I'm just gonna be honest, right? I was picking my nose and all the boogers were black. And I was like, I think we need to get some professionals in here. This doesn't seem very good. And so I am gonna hire some professionals and actually get the house cleaned up.
All right, now, I know I said the joke earlier about some homeless people living better than him. That might not be a joke anymore. Bro's house might actually just be made out of mold. He lives in the evil home. You know how bad it has to be to get to that point? He might be breathing in more mold than oxygen. But even with all of these outrageous living conditions, it looks like we are gonna be getting some clarity on why he continues to live in this environment, so let's see if maybe there's a saving grace here.
And so, yeah, check the walls on the house as well. I will. I'm gonna get the whole thing checked out and done. Now, there were a lot of people that were asking me, like, basically, like, why do you live like this, etc. This is a house, like, this is my home. I grew up here. I lived here my whole life, and, like, this is you know, I don't want to get rid of the house. Like, I could very easily go buy a mansion and go live somewhere else, but this is my home, and I love living here, and it makes me happy. The only reason why I would ever move away is if I was going to move in with like a girl and like maybe start like a family or something. Then I would move away just so I'd have more space, and like, you know, I wouldn't want my kids to grow up in the same house that I did, right? I think that would be selfish. But like otherwise, you know, like I have no real reason to move away or do anything like that. And so anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. And so like basically my mom was like really into, like, I wouldn't really say she was a hoarder, but she was just really extremely messy, and she would just never allow me to throw anything away or get rid of anything.
So with that bit right there, it kind of does make a bit more sense why he wants to stay here. Like, the house obviously holds some sort of sentimental value to him, and his mother being a hoarder also kind of explains why his house is usually always so messy. I also don't want to get too much into his personal life, but I also know that he did care for his mother a lot, and at this point she's not around anymore, so he also might not want to give up the house too quickly, because that's probably one of the like biggest pieces of her that he has left with him. So it kind of does make a bit of sense.
Hole in the door that rats get in from. Hole in the pantry that rats get in from. Hole in the ceiling because the light fixture fell down. Let's see. Bathroom broken. Let's see. Besides that, okay. Let's see. Oh yeah. Garage door destroyed. Garage door broken. Wasps get in.
Alright, I know that I just kind of said that I can see why he wants to keep it now, but with everything that's wrong with it, it sounds messed up, but at a point you might just have to let it go, because it'd honestly just be cheaper for him to get a new house rather than try to fix this one, considering basically everything is wrong with it. Almost everything needs to be fixed or replaced, and there's mold everywhere. I also should have said it earlier because most people don't make it this far in the video, but I'm also not criticizing him or saying that he's really doing anything wrong in any way here. I'm just pretty much calling things how I see it. If he wants to really stay in this house for whatever reasons that he has, it's not like I'm calling him stupid, wrong, or anything like that. Because like I said earlier, especially with the reasons that he has, I definitely do kind of understand it. But that is pretty much it on this situation. I'm not gonna drag the video out for too long, and if you made it this far, you probably like something, so you already know the whole deal. Like or subscribe, or else I'm gonna cover your house in mold, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.